Hello and welcome, one and all, to my very first theme month, PokéMonth. Yes, for every week in the lovely month of December, I will be putting out count them, four Pokemon-related videos. And yeah, it might seem a little random to put out a bunch of videos pertaining to a weird, kooky, oddball Japanese monster collecting JRPG that somehow managed to turn into a worldwide phenomenon. And I honestly have no idea how. Still, to this very day, Pokemon struck me as something that would come and go, as fads tend to do. But no, Pokemon endured. It somehow made it through the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and now into the 2020s. 100 years ago, swing music and racism were the height of pop culture, and now it's taser mice, digital cockfighting, and surprisingly still racism. How times have changed. And why December? Well, I mean, most of the series has come out in either November or September, but it's mostly nostalgia for me, you see, because 25 Decembers ago is when I was properly introduced to the world of Pokemon. When a 5-year-old Nicklet opened a box that he liked because it had a weird blue turtle on the cover. And I liked turtles back then. A lot. Still like turtles. Turtles are awesome. But that's a video for another time. Maybe later this month, who knows? The future's not set in stone. Yes, it is. But I have to ask you, what was your introduction to Pokemon? For many, I assume it was the games. After all, Pokemon did start as a video game franchise. Maybe for some of you, you started watching the anime, and that was how you got, familiar with the world and whatever the hell's going on with it. But for me, it's a little different. For me, it was the card game. The trading card game. Yeah, trading cards. I've been meaning to make a video on a specific trading card game for a long while now, and not this one, weirdly enough. But yeah, trading cards, they're really nothing new, and even when the Pokemon trading cards came out, the concept of cards that you collect and traded with your friends were a pretty familiar thing to most kids. I remember my brother had trading cards for all sorts of old movies, like RoboCop, or that shitty Super Mario Bros. Movie, which the fact that I just called Super Mario Bros. Old, despite the fact that I'm actually older than it, makes me a little bit depressed. Hell, I even have some trading cards myself that aren't related to a card game. I've got a couple packs of the Mega Man trading cards, which are completely worthless. But I like them because, look, they gave Cupman a holographic card. Where else are you going to see anybody give any sort of fanfare to fucking Cupman? Nowhere, that's where. But the thing with all of those is that you couldn't really do much with them besides look at them and, of course, as the name implies, trade them. But Pokemon had something else to it. See, the video games always did have an element of trading cards, in that a huge draw was being able to trade the Pokemon that you caught with a friend. But the other thing about Pokemon is not only could you trade with a friend, but you could also have your team of weird little critters fight against their team of equally strange whatchamafucks. And this competitive nature is something that I loved growing up, and never actually got to experience when the games were current. Weird. But it was something that interested me. I always wanted to do it. So naturally, this had to be brought into the cards as well. See, not only were these trading cards, this was a trading card game. Which, again, was not exactly new in 1998 when the trading card game came out, as Wizards of the Coast's Magic the Gathering had been out about 5 years by this point. And, hey, guess who just so happened to handle the Pokemon cards at the time? Yeah, Wizards. And they mismanaged it pretty much the same way that they mismanaged their own properties. Yeah, I'm not happy about the changes they've made to D&D. That fucking sucks now. It's a good thing I've got homebrew. But what actually appealed to me about these cards? I mean, really, they don't look that special. Something had to jump out at me, and, well, it was the monster designs. I feel like this should be where I would talk about what the fuck a Pokemon is, but if you're not Danny DeVito, and I don't know, I'm just gonna go out on a huge fucking limb and assume that you are in fact not Danny DeVito, and if you are, hi Mr. DeVito, huge fan, but you likely already know what a Pokemon is. It's been nearly 30 years since the franchise came out. Explaining this would be like explaining Spider-Man's origins. We're well past that. But yeah, it was the monster designs. I thought they looked cool. But what Pokemon in particular? Well, it was actually Machoke. Yeah, such a pedestrian-ass Pokemon, and honestly, it's the one that jumped out at me. I was a big wrestling fan as a kid, and seeing some yoked-as-fuck reptile thing with a wrestling belt looking like a prehistoric-ass Steve Austin just kind of pulled me in. And then finding out that Steve Austin eventually becomes fucking Goro just got me more excited. I will shit you not, but the Machop evolutionary line is actually my absolute favorite in the entire franchise. Out of 1,000 of these little bastards, and my favorite one is the one that is just a really in-shape dude. I could go for the more fantastical ones like the fire-breathing dragon, the sentient jizz pool, or the fucking ice cream cone. God, I wish I was making that one up. But no. I went for the thing that looks like the results of Randy Savage having a one-night stand at Jurassic Park. Gave him the cream of the crop from his power of tower. I fucked that up. Hell, I didn't even know what the fuck all this shit meant back then. I just liked the art. And yeah, sometimes the art is absolutely amazing. Sometimes it's well-drawn, detailed, usually hand-drawn art, and sometimes they'd mix things up. We'd get clay models, photos of figures. Eventually, they would just use CGI. And I remember being a kid and thinking that some of these almost looked real. Like they somehow found these weird, strange, fantastical creatures and took real photos of them. I was fucking stupid. But yeah, you remember that whole bit about this being a game? Well, it was, and I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I have played the Pokemon trading card game way more as an adult than I ever did as a child. In fact, growing up, I only really played it a few times with my older brother because he had 2 decks and I barely had 1. I mean, I had a lot of cards, but not exactly enough to put together a solid deck capable of being actually playable. To explain the rules of the game in the event that you've actually never played it, or maybe you're just bored and you're looking for something to do with your time, which, by the way, if that's the case, thank you for selecting my video. I hope I can quell your boredom at least a little bit. There are several types of Pokemon. You've got fire, water, grass, psychic, fighting, electric, and the best type of all, butthole. See, the actual video games had 15 types, which I suppose would have been a few too many for a card game. Magic the Gathering, of which Pokemon might have a couple of similarities to, enough at the least for Wizards of the Coast to sue if they didn't also make the Pokemon trading card game. But Magic has 6, so one more is pretty manageable. This means that certain types of Pokemon get shoved into other types, like Ice and Water get stuffed together, same with Psychic and Ghost. But then Grass, Bug, and Poison all share a color. Same with Fighting, Rock, and Ground, which doesn't make much sense to me at all, as Rock is weak to fighting. Dragon-type Pokemon drew the short straw, because them and Flying types, they just get put into the butthole category. Like the games, this makes it a more complicated rock, paper, scissors kind of thing, where some types beat out others but lose to another type, all making it a game that is equal parts strategy and luck. But then it gets more confusing when you've got a card that is like this, and you're like, that's a fighting type. You're wrong. It's a rock type, and you're going to take double fucking grass damage. Even if it's a bug. For the most part, the only thing you really need to worry about on any given Pokemon is its HP and its moves, and later on they added abilities. But we don't fuck with abilities. Some of them are game breaking. If that Pokemon's HP gets put down to 0, then that's it. They're put in the discard pile and your opponent draws their prize card. Before each game, both players draw 6 cards and place them face down without looking at them. Those are the previously mentioned prize cards. Whenever you reduce one of your opponent's Pokemon's HP to 0, you get to draw one of your prize cards. Draw all 6, you win the game. It's pretty simple. That's not the only way to win, though. You see, you are not limited to just one Pokemon. You also have a bench, of which you can put up to 6 Pokemon, as many as you want per turn, as long as it equals to 6. And if you don't have any Pokemon on your bench, and your active Pokemon gets knocked the fuck out, yeah, that's an L for you, dog. And of course, there's always got to be a type of card that allows you to just do things that would typically be considered cheating. Yu-Gi-Oh's got spells and traps. I don't know what Magic has because I've at least kissed a girl. But Pokemon has trainer cards, and these always kind of amused me as a kid. The art was just always weird and out there. Like, Recycle always got a fucking chuckle out of me. Look at this poor Jigglypuff. Just suffering. Just dangling there. I don't know what he did to deserve that, but it's hilarious. Now, that's all good and everything, but how about we actually play a match, play a round of the Pokemon trading card game, and see if it's any fun. But you see, the thing about me is I am a total fucking loser who has no friends. So where the fuck am I going to find somebody to play with? Well, just so happens I know a guy.
So, gonna level with you, Nick. I didn't think this is exactly what you meant when you said, come over and play some Pokemon cards.
What the hell else did you think I meant?
Well, you see, in your Shark Tale, play some Pokemon cards is street slang for cocaine.
You know, I'm not even gonna begin to question the future.
It's best you don't. Ever.
So, we start by drawing 5 cards from our deck. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5 cards. And then you draw another 6, and those are your prize cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You have to draw them in great detail because I'm sorry, man, my art skills are shit.
What are you doing?
I drew a kitty!
You know what? I will do it for you. I'll draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then your prize cards. Now we decide who goes first, and seeing how you've never played the game before in your life, I think it's only logical that I go first. For my first turn, I'm gonna put down Flying Pikachu V, set down Arceus V in my bench. I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna attach an energy onto Flying Pikachu. So, I'll end my turn with that.
Oh, gosh, this all seems so confusing. Here goes. First, I'm gonna put down an energy on Ralts, and then I'm gonna play Iceman, and put him down here, and that does something, I'm sure. Before I end my turn, I'm going to evolve Ralts into Professor Plum. Suck it, bitch.
You can't evolve Pokemon on the first turn. Sucks, I know. Unfortunately, your Professor Plum will have to go back in your hand.
Oh. I can't play Professor Plum on the first turn, right. Too OP. Gotcha.
No, those are all cards from different games. Have you been listening to anything I've said?
Sorry, I wasn't listening. What was that?
Oh, this is gonna be a long game, isn't it?
5 hours later.
And that's what happens when a mommy and daddy love each other very, very much. Did you get any of that? Do you have any other questions?
Why are you dressed like a lesbian?
About the game?
Oh, related to the game, I gotcha. I understand what's going on. Does dressing like a lesbian give your cards special bonuses?
It's winter, it's cold, we're in Canada.
It's fucking Where did you get that beer?
Get what?
The beer, the one you... It wasn't there and now it is.
No clue what you mean. No idea at all.
You've got another one!
Nope, same one. Look, we've wasted enough time, so instead of teaching you the game the slow, painful, tedious method, how about we do it in a Rocky-style training montage?
Sure, I guess. Wow. No wonder Stallone was so jacked. That 2 minutes of highly motivational 80s pop rock really got me going.
Yeah, I like the part where they told us to never give up. That was the best part. I didn't really listen to the rest. I got bored halfway through. Okay, so we're both down to 1 prize card each. You know, you were a little slow to pick it up at first, but I feel as the game's gone on, you've really improved and started to come into your own as a Pokemon trading card game player.
Yeah, you know, the flannel really helps. Really draws out your latent potential.
So for my turn, I'll draw. I'm also going to put fighting energy on my Decidueye V-Star, as it's called. And then I'm going to use Somersault Feathers to attack you for the rest of your Pokemon's remaining HP.
Ah, but you see, you've activated my trap card. Professor Plum! You thought I wasn't going to play him, but it was IDEO!
We're fucking done. That's it. Game over. Fuck you.
Oh, come on, don't be a sore loser!
Fuck you. That was unpleasant. But it holds up. You gotta find the right people. Remember, never play with idiots or weirdos from the future. Go to your locals and play with perfect strangers. Hopefully they've showered. If you're lucky, they might have a van full of puppies and candy. And hey, if you're like me and lack the social skills to form any sort of meaningful long-term friendships with people of similar interests, you can always play the Pokemon trading card game on the Game Boy. It's a fun little romp that kind of emulates the feeling of the mainline Pokemon games, but with a lot more RNG bullshit that pissed me off the entire way through. And you don't even need friends to play it, so it's literally tailor-made for me. But seriously though, the RNG in this game is just insane. It is through the goddamn roof. I spent hours just opening booster packs to get 1 card that I needed, to the point where I said, fuck it, and just used a goddamn Game Shark code to get me an unlimited booster packs cheat so I wouldn't have to grind for days just to pull an Alakazam. It was fun, I highly recommend it. The Pokemon TCG was also my first foray into the world of trading card games, which eventually led me to stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Duel Masters, and the best TCG based off of an anime from the early 2000s, Inuyasha. Yeah, I'm not kidding you with that one. Not only is there an Inuyasha card game, it was surprisingly actually pretty fun. But that's a rabbit hole for another day. I do eventually plan on covering other far more obscure TCGs from the early 2000s, but today it's all about Pokemon. The Pokemon TCG has gone through a couple changes over the years, but it's pretty much stayed the same at its core. And that's why I find it easy to recommend to people who maybe haven't played in a while, or maybe you don't play TCGs at all. It's also the kind of game you can explain in about 20 minutes, and 2-player starter decks tend to be about $30, which is not too bad. It makes for a pretty good game night kind of game where you and your legal drinking age friends can all get together and argue over how much bullshit Deoxys is. Seriously, some abilities in this game are just fucking messed. That ends my silly little rant on this children's card game based off of a silly little children's video game franchise. Go on, outside with you, do snow shit. I don't know if there's snow out there right now. I wrote this in October, so the script says it's still October, but it's actually November 1st at the time of filming. I am nothing if not prepared. But anyways, you could go, have a great day, just do fun stuff. It's Christmas and shit.